Welcome to the Harper-Tech Academy, and today we're actually going to have a look at work, health and safety legislation. This directly ties to three of our other mixes in the cost of workplace, and there is a couple of extra WHS mixes. So let's get into it. In this mix today, we'll actually be looking at WHS or work, health and safety legislation. First of all, we're going to revise what an act, a regulation and a code of practice is. Then we're going to look at the Work Health and Safety Act 2011 in New South Wales, followed very closely by the Work Health and Safety Regulations 2011 New South Wales. And then finally, if you can wait for it, we're going to have a look at the codes of practice and the New South Wales work cover. Before we can look at WHS legislation, we need to understand the differences between an act, a regulation and a code of practice. For most of you, this is revision. An act is a legislation set down by the Parliament. The regulation is basically the set of rules which help people decipher the legislation, and the codes of practice are actually the guides which tell the hospitality enterprises how they actually meet their obligations under the WHS Act. Are you excited? We're doing legislation once again. First of all is the Work Health Safety Act 2011, and always it has to have the brackets with New South Wales. So it provides the framework to protect health and safety and the welfare of all workers. This includes all employees, contractors, outworkers, apprentices, trainees, work experience and volunteers. So here are the keys to this act. It's there to protect workers and other people, providing fair and effective workplace representation, consultation and cooperation between the PCBU, can you remember what that is? Person conducting business or undertaking, and also the workers, which are the employees. It also helps to encourage unions and employer organisations to promote improved WHS across the industry. The provision of good advice. Also compliance is very important with the Act and making sure that people meet their obligations. It's a framework for continuous improvement of work health and safety for all of us. And it also is there to facilitate a national approach to consistent WHS across Australia. So just like the food safety legislation, the Work Health and Safety Regulation, which is of the same year, these are the regulations in relation to the Act. Let's have a look at the regulations. So Work Health Safety Regulations. First of all is health and safety duties that are required in establishments. The consultation and representation for the PCBU, can you remember what that is? That's right, it's a person conducting business or undertaking, and an employer under the Act is a worker. Next one, we're looking at an incident notification, and this is a way of reducing hazards within the workplace before they happen. Next one, regulation and compliance, so that everyone is complying with their obligations to the Act and the regulation. Who enforces in the federal government and also state and the councils. And finally, the prohibition of misleading conduct, ethics within from an employer, employee, unions, and making sure everyone is doing what they're meant to be doing within the Act and the regulation. New South Wales work cover are the ones that actually set out the codes of practice for employers so that they have practical guidelines on how to meet requirements set out by the Work Health and Safety Act and the regulation. So the codes that actually relate to hospitality are the WHS consultation, risk assessment, which we've already looked at, manual handling, which is a huge one in hospitality no matter where you are, labelling of workplace substances, chemicals, so cleaning chemicals is really important in the hospitality industry. and also the storage and handling of dangerous goods, one of them actually being the gas you use for stoves and the chemicals we were talking about. I hope you found that as exciting as the food safety legislation. Work health and safety legislation keeps us all safe. It's really important that we have a strong understanding of what we do as an employee, and then later on, who knows, you might be the person conducting business or undertaking within the WHS legislation. If you have any questions, make sure you put them on the form, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time at the Harper Tech Academy.